Welcome everyone to the stream, and we are going to wait for who is it? Mag. He's just running a few minutes late. So we'll go ahead and get rolling with how everyone's last couple weeks have been going. Let's go with Ro first.
Well, school started for my girls. So that was a big thing. We also adopted a new cat to our house from the Humane Society named Pico. So now we have 3 dogs and 3 cats in our house, plus the 2 girls and my wife. So becoming Noah's Ark over here.
A very, very full house. What about you, Zabby?
I mean, it's just kind of been.
And
there's the whole talking about the big eyes, small mouth previously over on there, but the people let that kind of percolate for people a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what about you, Mag? Now that you're actually here,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We're just talking about what we've been doing the last couple weeks since the last episode.
Okay, yeah, I finished my hot sauce, just job interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's been very eventful. Getting a bunch of videos set up for while I was gone, packing for the trip, going on the trip, which was really, really fun. I was cycling with someone, and they were amazing. I was very surprised at their skill because I cycled with a 70-year-old lady who has arthritis in her legs, so in the knees and in the ankles. And she's riding on a recumbent trike, no motor, and we climbed a mountain. What impressed me the most was the fact that I only had to wait 15 minutes at the top of the mountain for her to catch up. And I have an electric motor. So she has some strong legs. She's also cycled, last year she cycled across the United States and back. And that's really cool. I let her try my trike with the motor going up a big hill. And she's like, definitely going, yeah, I'm getting an electric motor. It takes away the pain. But it was a fun trip up in Fort Stevens. Had some really, really good barbecue because the guy I'm sharing my camping spot with brought a small little wood smoker, and so I got smoked pulled pork and burnt ends, and then a bunch of other really good food, and saw a lot of stuff. I have some cool stuff that I'm going to do next year for the channel if the retreat happens. It's sort of up in the air because they're going to be doing renovations to the campsite, and half the campsite's going to be shut down. So we don't know if we're going to be able to get the spots. But if I do, I found a way to do content for the channel while I'm out doing that. I found a retro arcade in Astoria and in Seaside. I'm going to visit one of those arcades and do sort of like a tour and showing of some of the old games that are there and stuff like that from like when I was a kid. So that's going to be cool. But let's go ahead and let's get into the game. So when we last left off, you guys were in the actual goblin village and going through there, and you were sneaking around sort of peeking into windows, seeing what was in the different buildings and stuff like that. You guys had gotten to the entrance of the mine, which is sort of like a cave mine, and ran into a rat or a rat swarm. And the noise of that caused a couple of creatures to come outside of one of the nearby buildings and start attacking. Now, with that being said, Meg, you did read the message that I talked about if certain things go a certain direction, right?
Yeah, regarding that.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, I have a map that I've created in case they go into the mines. Unfortunately, Roll20 is not uploading it. It's not fully uploading. I sat there for hours and hours trying to get it to upload. I tried different browsers, the normal suggestions that I put up, and it's just not uploading. And half the time, it's asking me constantly, repeatedly, are you human? Are you human? Are you human? When I'm trying to log in. It doesn't recognize that I've clicked the button or checkmarked the thing to continue on and then let me in. It just keeps on bringing the checkmark back up. So if something goes wrong, if something happens and we can't move on, don't worry, there is a backup plan, and that backup plan is I will bring up the RPG engine, which is what we're going to be moving over to. I'm going to start working on creating the character sheets. I mean, I want you guys to stay around to give your feedback on what I'm doing, and if that ends up happening, I'm going to do a live stream through the Discord so you guys can see directly without having to wait.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go. We got combat going. So remember to click on your character and then do the initiative rules.
Yeah, goes right through this time, so that's better.
I need to change something. I have my speakers going, so you guys are going to hear some sounds. Okay, so we got that, and let's see. Rat Swarm. Bring up this. Oh, you're joking. No.
It's not cooperating over there.
I'm getting sorry, we can't seem to pull this up. Your session has expired message when I try to pull up the sheets for the rat swarms, bats, and the weasel. So you guys got your
new
roles
character sheets,
in.
I guess.
So, well, this is one of the reasons why I want to get away from Roll20. I mean, it's, in all honesty, it's a good system. It's somewhat, the idea behind it is nice.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that the functionality is not there 50% of the time. And that's why I'm walking away from this VTT and moving to another. I want something that's more stable, something that's more reliable. And Roll20 just is not cutting it. Their coders need to sit down, fix the damn problems. Otherwise, they're gonna lose money. Because I'm gonna cancel my. I'm now at the point where I put in a year-long subscription. I'm gonna cancel that. I'm gonna ask for my money back. I'm gonna tell them exactly why. And hopefully that will kick their butts into gear. So,
yeah, part of the problem is they're doing it all through an actual web app rather than a dedicated app.
yeah,
If they
it
were allows
to
it better access,
create,
but
if they were to create a dedicated app like a lot are doing nowadays, and just they could keep it 2D, that'd be great. And then later on enhance and allow import of 3D assets would be great. That's what Roll20 needs to do. They need to make a dedicated app, because then it wouldn't have this problem. Anyways, let me go ahead. I need to bring up this. I'm going to share my screen. Select a screen. I'm going to share it. Go live. So you guys now have access to the Discord one. Close out that real quick so you can't see where everything is.
yeah, we don't need your For You feed over there.
Yeah. And then let's bring up the pen paper RPG engine. So at least your guys' initiative role positions are saved. So that's one good thing. We got one step further.
I didn't have my token selected, so you probably want to change it to my initial roll, which was
Okay,
11
yeah.
rather than 14.
We'll look at that when we get up, and you know, we're all getting used to it and stuff like that. But at least now we get to play around with the RPG engine, and the great thing is with me playing around with it and you guys being somewhat interested in it, we get to see what all goes on. So I'm going to click on Game Master. Click on that one. I'm going to rename that. Actually, no, I'm going to start a whole entire new one. Let me go back. Quick. Put to main menu. No. Game Master. Going to. Ooh, I can actually change the name. That works. I like that feature. Did you guys just see what I did?
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna keep test.
Anything other than rename?
Yeah. You just click on the little thing that looks like a check, clipboard, and you can rename it, and that's really, really nice.
And it may seem like a simple thing, but depending on how the file structure goes, like I know in the Unreal Engine, for example, if you have to rename your project from something, you have to dive into potentially like 5-6 different places.
Yeah.
So it can be a real pain to get that straightened out over there. So it's nice when you can have somewhere where it's just go, done.
Nice. We can resize windows. Really like that. And the fact that you can do it angular. Want to go add that one. This is the one we're on. All the way over here. All the way to the top. Okay, so this is a frame. Text, input, toggle, image, play results, focus, refresh. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking of doing. Do I have mine? Oh, I still have it on speakers. That's why. Okay, there we go. I was wondering why I was hearing it. So you guys are probably getting an echo a bit.
Not really getting one.
Bring this up. Drop this down so I can hear you guys better. There we go. Okay. So I want to put in frame. Like so. An image. Inside that frame. There we go. And that's where your character's image will go. Go text. Build here. Change the type of text it is. Excellent. Up. The heck just happened? Go here. There we go. Save. Here. Do this again. One frame. Right here. So inside that frame, want that. So we'll get the image next to it. This. Okay, now do that. Move this to here. Input field. Here. So for the character name, let's see. Go here. So ace that. Come on. And like that. Over to here. Put field here to here. Up. You know, one add-on I'd like to see them do is an align capability, so I could highlight all these and get them to align. That'd be a really cool little capability. Okay, so let's see. We have name, we have race.
Is there not a grid thing that you can bring up to use to kind of help align stuff? I feel like most things do that. Is there not a setting for
Focus, display results, image, toggle, input, text.
that? Oh, weird.
Nope. I'm not seeing any of that. I always give myself a little bit extra space. Class. And to here. Hands. There. Here. Here. Nope, wrong thing. Go. Sub is just like your subclass. There, so there's that. Here. off of that. There's that. What? Here. That. Got that. Let's see, what else do we need? So we got name, we got race, we got class, we got subclass, we got sex. You know, what might help is if I pull up character sheet right there. Oh, we need social class, level. I'm gonna pull this over here. This one. Nope. Okay. All here. Here. Click on this one. I'm going to group things together. Class, subclass. Let's take subclass to there. This out. Oh. This down. This down. Here. This. Here. Here. There we go. There. See, so that. Okay. I'll work on realigning those later. Ancestry. Background. Nope. Oh. Want that. Like making sure that the dots are in there. That in the background. We got class, subclass. Social class. Off of this. Is that a bit more? There should be good. So we have that put in. Oh, and then level. Oh, it might help, right? What are you guys thinking of the setup so far?
I mean, I think the move is to probably try to mimic the Roll-20 one or version of it, or whatever's from the book.
Yeah, I don't have that full option. I don't have the options of doing the circles, and there are many different versions of the character sheet. They moved things around all over the place in version 1 and version 2. And then some people make their own layout. So I'm basically just going off of what I have here. And all this stuff I can move around.
I mostly just mean, like, as long as there is, it doesn't have to look the exact same, but as long as for every field that there is on the Roll-20 sheet or on the sheet,
yeah,
and field for it here, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing that. That's why I off screen I have a Fantasy Age character sheet here that I'm looking at. And that's why I put in ancestry, background, social class, things like that.
Cool.
I wonder if one thing that might make things easier is basically just grab. It looks like you can import an image straight on there. So grab an image of the character sheet, drop it in as a background, overlay your fields on top of it.
You suck.
Yeah.
Doing a logical sense always drives me nuts. Yeah,
especially because it waits until you've already done a chunk of work before I actually give over some suggestions.
Yeah, and that's what drives me nuts. You wait until I get a nice good chunk of it. You're like, what might make this easier is if you do this. And it's just like, makes me really want to get out of my chair and just smack you a few times. Oh, don't tell me. Okay.
So I think they said that they basically have the sheet auto resizing.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. Okay. So, we could make this way bigger. Would you rather we take up the whole entire sheet and you can scroll in case you have eyesight problems? Or... And by the way, resizing is, zooming in and out, done with the scroll wheel, of course.
Makes sense.
I actually like this size because then you guys can do like notes on the side and stuff like that. If I were to take up the whole entire area, you wouldn't be able to type out your own notes. And I can literally, on the sides and stuff like that, I can literally put in just giant text fields for you guys to add notes. Because here, we're not fully zoomed in and we're not fully zoomed out. So, okay, let's see. Oh, we're gonna put here text right here. Put speed. That's a good size. You guys won't need something bigger than that. Okay, so have fence right next to it. That. Looks like that. Go. Here. Experience. We'll do that. Give you a big enough field for the experience. In case I decide to do decimal points for experience. Really drive you guys nuts. I'm sure you guys would love that, right?
Who doesn't want 12 digits worth of experience? Just, decimal point on the far right.
Yeah. I'm gonna compound some of this stuff. We'll go. health there. I want to do 2 boxes. One box like so. Text field. Another box like that. Do that in the box. That should work for health. So this first field right here is where you will put in your actual health, and this other field is where you'll put the max health. That look good, or should I actually change that divide line and have it actually say max?
I think it's,
I think it's pretty implied as is.
As is, okay. Ro,
Yeah,
your
you've got-
opinions?
You have a double F in defense there. All you need.
Oh, defense, I have a double F. I do. You there, Ro? Maybe having connection issues. Okay, if you guys are happy with that, we'll keep it that way. We got defense. Oh, thing I do want to adjust. I'm not happy with this a bit bigger. So, and put that in there. Let's go ahead and start putting in stat boxes. So I'll be accuracy. And I copy that. Okay, let's do. Right. Nope, not what I want to do. We're going to do a left align. Hope you guys are okay with that. You guys okay with the left align?
Yeah, it makes sense for the word to end right next to where the number begins. So
Yeah, works for me.
Right. Paste. There. Paste. There. Writing doesn't need to be changed at all. Paste. So, writing. Intelligence. There. Paste. Go. Exception. Right. Okay. Strength and strength looks about the right size. Maybe just a little bit bigger should work. There we go. Okay, so we got those. Click, paste. Willpower. About the right. That's a little too big. Looks about right. All those in. This. There. Helps if I have it selected, doesn't it? There. There. Bit bigger. Go. Actually, what I'm going to do, delete that one. Delete that one. Copy this one. Paste. About there. Paste.
I've got to step away for 5 or 10.
Okay.
Continue on. I just my girlfriend just got home.
Oh, okay.
Shortly.
Yeah, you ignore the girlfriend, you pay a price. I don't want to have to pay a price, so.
Always priorities.
Yep. These are the checkbox marks for your primaries. Sort of a smart idea, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, it's a good social cue of which ones are your priorities just by having these checkbox boxes. That looks good there. Next, we need the input boxes. But need to do a display result. Input box. Not gonna be that big of a number. Just square it. So, right click, copy, paste. On there. Paste. Graphics design mind is just going nuts. What do you think? Now I need to do this. Nope. What I want. Let me check something real quick. So I'm going to delete that.
And then we'll need text fields on there so we can put in the focuses.
Bastard. uh, from them. Give me one moment. I'm looking at how to do something real quick. Okay. Okay. On. Okay. So need to do is I need to go here. You'll reference. Take this. Reference it to this. Those two are now referenced. So whenever you click on accuracy, it will roll with this in mind.
Then you'll need to set the value fields so that you can then, you do this roll plus this value display in this box.
Yeah, I'm still getting on that. I'm just doing the first part here.
Mm.
Okay, so that's all hooked up. Okay. I need to make this longer. Reason why is you guys are going to be putting in the 3d6 plus whatever in these. Believe. Let me double check. Oh, stop. Does this have an undo command? No, it does not. or mathematical equations. This, right click. I think that's right. Let me read that. Cool. Okay, so okay. So gotta figure this out. Right click here. There we go. Okay, that doesn't work. How to solve that problem? Look over. Okay, let's try this. Let roll A not equals plus 3d6 into still running as 3. I want no sense. They need to do an updated version of this. This is what they're telling me. I should be able to do a mathematical formula where you put in the number that you want, and I can tell it to add 3d6 to it. But it's not letting me do that. I'm all of a sudden by myself.
We're here.
Okay.
I'm back.
So how do I get that equation thing to work? Trying to figure out how to get the equation part to work. Let me toggle this off. Clear this out. Nope, not what I want to do. Let's try that. Three. Not that. So go here. Nope. Ha ha ha! Figured it out. I was telling me the wrong area to click in.
Cool.
But now we have it set up. That's cool. So all you have to do is click like accuracy and you get that roll. I'm going to delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that. So all we have to do is run that. And there we go. This one So A, okay, so it's 3d6 plus A for all of them. $3d6 plus A. Entire thing. Copy it. Here. Right. Nice. I'm really liking this. I mean, what are you guys thinking so far from what you're seeing?
It's got some power onto it there. Could probably
It
use some more
does.
in-game
Oh.
documentation, but I recall seeing on their forums that they were kind of holding off on that until they've got stuff finalized more because they don't want to have to spend all their time rewriting it.
Exactly. It's still in its like early access, type phase. And they do have videos, because how I figured all this out was through videos. They do videos talking about this stuff. All you need to do is just go to YouTube, write RPG Engine character sheet tutorial, and boom. RPG Engine actually has their own YouTube channel where they literally go over everything I'm doing right here.
So, as far as the different focuses, like for initiative or for so I'm just wondering, is it possible to kind of daisy chain it off of like the accuracy?
Yes, you can chain things together.
Okay.
They did talk about that, and that's the next thing I'm going to get into. Is I'm going to create a box that goes here and feeds into, will literally link into this. So what I can do is I'm going to go here. No, I want to create a text box. Here. I may have that misspelled. That's okay. I'll fix that later. So we have that, right? I can go here. Okay, so the reason I did 3 boxes is because each box considers it a field. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to click here. I'm going to add it to there. So it's going to say B. I'm going to click here and go to here. I'm going to click here and go to here. So now
I'm wondering if you're doing that in reverse. because it looks like the accuracy is pulling from the values that are going to be in each of the focuses, so that when you hit accuracy,
No, so when you hit accuracy, maybe.
because I think that basically you want your focuses to be like 3 plus A and then 3 plus B and then 3 plus C.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I might be wrong. I might be
I
misunderstanding
think
that.
you're right. Let's go here. No, need to go turn this off. Just gonna turn that to 3. Turn this back on. Trying to figure things out here. Let me think. Yes, it just changes the text that's in there. Hmm. Gonna have to figure that part out. Now, and get rid of those. Oh. Trying to figure that out. How we can best do that. Because text fields, you guys cannot edit. However, these you can edit. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is how to get it so that what you guys type in there can be friends. Like that. Thinking. Let me see if they go into that in a bit of detail.
Hmm.
They do not go over that. I forget that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to think things through here on how we can do an editable field that can be clicked on to get a result. You know what we could do is focus, the name of the focus, name of the focus. So each time it's going to say focus, and then you just click on the word focus. So like, for instance, delete. Delete that. Delete that. This. Go ahead. Copy this. Paste this to here. That. Paste. So it's going to be a little bit more of a complex character sheet like this. So you'll type in the focus. And then you'll just click on the word focus, and that will give you what it's supposed to be. It's also just a +2. So,
well, the problem though is it won't stay at +2 because as you level up, your focus level increases, and you have the option to do a double focus on something.
Yeah.
You can get an extra point. It's messy.
Yeah. Let me think on that. So let me take a break. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna do my stretches. Normal la thing that you guys are used to seeing in stream.
Yep.
And go from there. But overall, I like this. And for focus, we may just have to have you add the plus to it manually. So you might have to do some math. Now, here's the question I have for you guys. Would you guys like to have a health bar on the character sheet?
I don't really need like an animated bar or anything.
So numbers are good for you.
Totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah, numbers are good enough.
Numbers are good enough. Okay, so we'll just go purely numbers because I can put in a health bar. So I want to leave that open to you guys.
I mean, if there's space for it, it wouldn't. I mean, it couldn't hurt, But also, if it's going to further clutter up the sheet, then
yeah, I just put the health bar right here. But we also have mana.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff that I can put here. I'm just leaving that space open, because I'm gonna fit things to what feels right. Such as your main things here are name, class, subclass, speed, defense, experience level, and of course health right there. So are you guys comfortable with what I have for a layout so far before I go on this little break?
Yeah, I think it looks good so far. I actually need to hop off a little early tonight. So,
oh, you do?
Yeah, go ahead and continue on. I trust your judgment. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
All right, I will see you next week, and hopefully we'll actually be in Roll20 next week. Or not Roll20, but RPG Engine.
Okay.
Because wherever I don't finish here, I will finish offline along with working on the maps.
Cool.
All
right, have a good week.
All right, see you later. All right, I will be right back. Is Ro even still with us? I have not heard from him.
It's still connected, just muted.
Oh, Ro's muted. He's ignoring us. I see how he is.
There's a lot of critters over there. Maybe they're making a bunch of noise.
Yeah. All right. I will be back in. Let me get my my OBS showing. All right. Be back in a few. Okay. I'm back. I think I figured it out. So what I'm going to do, click on this and delete this. Delete this. I'm going to create another box here. That'll just be the number. Okay, so go ahead. And here, let's say you put aim. And let's say it's the basic of 2. Okay. What I do is I link this to this. I link this to this. All right. Okay. We got all that. I'm going to do a run. There you go. It works. How's that work for you?
It works fine if you only have a single focus.
Yes, well that's where what I'm thinking of doing is I'm thinking of moving these down and putting a focus here and then linking them all up like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what I'll do, I'm going to turn this off. I'll just go ahead and I'm going to delete these. Delete this. Delete this. Delete this. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Then I'm going to create a text field right here. We'll do the focus. This over here. We'll do the input field. Like so. We'll put the number field. Like so. Okay. I just copy this. Paste here. Over to here. Copy this. There. That. There. This. That to there. So, just for example, so we have 2 focuses, there can be more. But then what we do is we go here. This will link to this. 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 See how that all works?
Mm-hmm.
So now you just click on the word focus for whichever one you're wanting. And it will roll your accuracy, your number and your accuracy, or add the number of the accuracy and then add the number of the focus.
Mm-hmm.
That works,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I guess the only tricky part is being able to expand that dynamically on there. Which I'm not sure
Yeah.
if this is capable of, because I mean,
Well,
right now I've got 3 focuses in intelligence over for my character.
Yeah, so basically what I'm thinking of doing is
Yep, there went Ro. Maybe there's a network
Rose
issue.
gone.
Yep.
Okay, so it's just me and you. I have to figure this out. The top part is good. With the image and everything like that is good. It's solid.
Yeah, it's also just very simple
Yeah,
data input. You don't have
it's
much.
very simple. And I mean, the only hard part is this whole entire focus bit.
Mhm.
doing the actual attacks, easy. It's this whole entire having to add focuses.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where user interface design really comes into play in this whole entire thing. Knowing the limitations of what you can work with and going from there. And just trying to figure things out. Can I? Excellent. I only have to make one character sheet for you guys all, and I can duplicate each one for the character sheets we need. So I'm literally going to create a character sheet, make multiples of them, and I just assign them to each of you guys, and then you guys will be able to change them. And each one that I duplicate, I'll actually name, I'll have it named to your character and go from there.
Yep.
So that's going to make things a lot easier because I was worried that I was going to have to do this over and over and over again for every single character sheet. That's a lot of work. The fact that they were actually smart enough to allow you to right click here.
Yeah, that's why you've got an actual folder that says template.
Yep. Actually, can I? Yeah, I can only do it in there. Click. And go ahead and delete that. There we go. So, so it just adds to the current. Doesn't do actual local template.
You were all the way up the top left corner.
Yeah, I know. Just add there. Don't get that.
Might just be a bug.
Yeah. Got local. Yeah, and what I like here is when they did this literally walks you through everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the video. But the video is really good for the pure simple fact of people like me where it's a real pain in the butt to talk about, you know. That's what I'm going to do. undo that. Okay. Because they have focus buttons. You can do focuses, center it on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But theirs isn't working that well. Okay. What I'm going to do is, what's this? Got that. Yes. Okay. So. Just have to figure everything out here. I'm just testing around. I'm going to redo a bunch of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So I can move things around easily, because with this border here, so if I go edit, with this border here, shrink this down some. I have to figure out the whole entire parenting thing. But yeah, once I figure out the parenting thing, what I'm planning on doing is parenting everything to a border. So I can just click on border and move it around like I was doing in this one.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is you can just edit. You can click here. And you see this whole entire thing is parented.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what I'm wanting to do. Same with this one here. So I'll have to play around with it more, see what I can get going on here. But I just really like the fact that we can go character sheet here. We can click that and we get our rules.
Mm.
And the fact that we have the focus here. So if we go to here, put our aim in here, click that, it actually does all the calculations for you. So that's really, really nice. Will the player be able to? Oh no. So I'll have to put in the images for you guys for your character if you want one.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you'll be able to literally put the name of the characters in. I really, really like that. Now you can go over here and just say you have 25 health. Do not hit enter key. And then you can say you're down to 17 health. There you go. So all this I think is working really, really well. I especially like over here in the chat room how I can just clear things out. And if you guys ever want to re-roll something, like let's say you do a roll of the focus for aim. And you roll that and it shows up in chat. And then you do a couple of accuracy shots. And then let's say you need to re-roll the accuracy shot. You don't even need to click on your character sheet. You can just click the re-roll, and then you need to do another aimed shot. They have an actual reuse button on this. So you guys won't have to constantly be digging into your character sheets to click on what you did. If it's already in the chat system and you found it, you can click that reuse instead of having to be in the character sheet and do that. I think that is a smart development move.
Be handy.
It's going to be, I think you guys will really enjoy that. Because I mean, what's really cool is we can do this, and there's our dice.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to have to keep track of if we got any doubles.
Yeah, I was looking in on their Discord, and they've got a breakdown of all the different dice commands.
Mm-hmm.
It can get fairly complex. I think there might be a way to tell if you've got doubles in there, but it's going to require a lot of digging to get to it.
Oh, in the RPG engine?
Mm-hmm.
Discord? Yeah. I'm going to talk to him and see what we can do for Fantasy Age for that. Because that would be really cool if it would highlight the doubles.
Mm-hmm.
So that someone can easily tell, oh, I got doubles.
I mean, they have a set of conditionals in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of stringing it all together properly for it. So effectively, you'd have to do, rather than just doing like 3d6, you'd have to do, okay, roll a 1d6, store that as A, roll a 1d6, store that as B, roll a 1d6, store that as C. If A is equal to B or C, or if B is equal to C,
Mm-hmm.
then...
Yeah. I'll talk to them and see what I can find out.
Mm-hmm.
And if I find out something good, I'm going to like that we can do for Fantasy Age. I'm going to do a video purely on how to do that. And I'm going to share that on the Fantasy Age Discord. Because I don't think Fantasy Age would have a problem with that whatsoever. They like it when people share how to do things on VTTs for Fantasy Age. Because that's doing nothing but promoting their game system and how to do their game system in a VTT.
Mm-hmm.
And literally in Fantasy Age's Discord, they have a thing for the different VTTs. They just don't have RPG engine in there. And by me creating a character sheet, I'm going to do a video going over how I created the character sheet, how it's all hooked up, so that Fantasy Age players can hook it up without having to watch this live stream of me sitting here trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, and definitely a dedicated video at the very least. Like
Yes.
edit one down onto it if you do it all live.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it all live. I'm going to do it all behind the backgrounds, figure everything out. Once I got everything figured out on how to set up the character sheet, that's where I'm going to go through with a blank character sheet and go, okay, put this, here's what you put, here's how you do everything. You can put things in your own arrangement, but this is how I recommend you do your attributes and focus setup. Here's how I recommend you do your attack rolls and your damage roll setup. Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are a little bit more in depth. And if there is that whole entire highlighting of dice, I can say, okay, here's how you do the highlighting of dice. Because the one problem I had when I worked for an alarm company was we were constantly making the error of not noticing when there's an important note on the account, such as, they're in test, right? That's very, very important. If they're in test and we accidentally send out the fire department or police, that's bad. And we kept on saying to the owner over and over again, highlight it in red. Make it catch our eyes. Because there's other things in that note that are just side standards, side things of, okay, the owners want a note about this. It's not majorly important. Make it so we can highlight things that are majorly important that we have to focus on. Because you can be sitting there and looking through a list of notes and not know what's important versus what's important. Where if you highlight something and make it a different color, you're letting the person know, okay, this is important. This is different. Pay attention to this.
Mm-hmm.
And as a tester, I kept on telling him, you want to get rid of those errors and those mistakes where we're having to pay the fines because we made a mistake on our end. Highlighting it will make those go away. And his constant response was your job to read all of those notes. And I said, well, one, that's wasting time because we're having to go through all those notes. And, it takes time from the customer and the call and things like that. By highlighting things, you're cutting on downtime. Therefore, you're cutting down on the call. And you're also saving money, time, and not having to pay those fines.
Yeah, I mean, just because it seems like it's a small thing, this is a small thing that can potentially prevent some huge problems.
Exactly.
There is no reason not to take this step.
Well, I remember,
aside from being completely short-sighted.
I remember my last day on the job. I got called into the office because I did make that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sort of shrugged my shoulders. And they're just like, well, you're not taking this seriously because it's your last day. And I said, no, I'm not taking this seriously because I gave you guys a way to solve this problem so this issue would not happen. I'm not the only one having this issue. Even your long-term employees make this mistake. And this could have been solved. And I told you how to solve it. And the developers said that they could code it in if we really wanted it. For the alarm program. And I said, that's why I'm shrugging my shoulders. Because I gave you an easy solution to fix the problem overall. Mm-hmm. To make it easier for everyone across the board. And you guys said no. That we're just being lazy. And it's like, no. When you're looking through pages and pages and pages of notes, you're going to end up missing something.
Yeah, especially when you're on a time crunch, when you're dealing with who knows how many different clients per day.
Clients per day, and it's a robbery or a fire or a medical emergency. You need to work quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so by being able to see those highlighted important notes, that allows you to work quick. And I mentioned that to them. They still ignored it. So, that's why I'm just sort of, that's their choice. They want to lose money, they can lose money. I gave them a way to not lose money for free.
And well, I mean, that location where you work got turned into a daycare sometime since the pandemic.
Yes,
so-
and I spoke to one of the guys that works there because he is heavy into Guild Wars 2. So we would always talk Guild War 2 when it was slow. And he mentioned to me that they literally went to the work from home route during the pandemic and saw no issues with it. And so they just sort of kept that going. Because, well, it saved them money. And that's where because they had bought that property. And so they just sold off that property and got money.
Yeah, I thought part of the reason that they had that property the way it was on there was because of security concerns, but hey.
Security concerns probably relaxed because of the pandemic. And they may have been able to show, to them that, hey, look, we're fairly secure. Let our long-term employees work from home. They may have just moved locations. Who knows? They may have just shut down altogether. Because I know that the owner was getting close to retirement. And the daughter was like the head manager getting ready to take over. And she may have just looked at it as, let me sell off the whole entire business and retire early. Who knows? I just know up to the pandemic point what was going on. So, but overall, I'm really liking this. I gotta get used to the terrain editing and stuff like that because I tried making the cave system. I just gotta play around with it a bit more. And how to do things in levels of stuff.
And if you look at the screenshots, there are some really detailed works that people have put together for it.
Yes, there are.
It's definitely flexible. It's just gotta learn it, gotta put in the time to make it.
Yep, and that I didn't have much time before now, but now that thing I've caught up on most of my work. I still got a lot of work to do because I'm still editing the videos for the second channel. And I got a bit more crunch on that because what surprised me is that when I did a community post on this channel saying, hey, no live streams for a while, I'm going out and doing a bike tour up to Fort Stevens, I'll be back in a week, it wasn't an oh darn, it was cool, can you do a vlog about it, and a bunch of likes to that comment. And I got that comment just as I got into Astoria, which is right next to Fort Stevens, because there's Warrington to the south of Fort Stevens, and then to the east is Astoria. And Warrington is a bit to the east, but it's literally, I got into Astoria, which is where I started getting a signal, and I saw that comment, and I immediately responded back with, yeah, I'm vlogging the whole entire trip as much as I can, but I'm not putting it on this channel due to the fact that it'll ruin the analytics for this channel. It will think that I'm starting to add trikes in, and it will confuse YouTube to no end. It'll say, well, I'm no longer just a gaming channel, so we gotta refigure out what they are. And I said, I created the Trike Traveler channel. And that Trike Traveler channel is where I'm going to put all the biking stuff that I do. But overall, this Roll20 is just really, really nice to use and stuff like that. And I think the main thing that I really like about this one over all the other VTTs is the fact that you can put in your own models. You can import your own models. You can import your own images. That's just a big bonus.
And then with this one here, it's not just, the model itself, it's all the model pieces, because then you can attach them together to create custom stuff in engine without having to actually model it out yourself. So
exactly.
If you aren't someone like CC here who can just make their own, then you can bodge it together and call it good enough.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have all the people who are doing the Steam Workshop stuff. You can just go into the Steam Workshop stuff and download what looks good for what RPG you're playing. I mean, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
No. And that's why I really like this. I mean, the other one I really like to see is I'd like to see Dungeon Alchemist be turned into a VTT. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is Dungeon Alchemist is really great for making the maps. You can make maps very, very quickly in Dungeon Alchemist. You don't have to worry about placing every single table, door, and stuff like that. It automatically generates it from you based on what you choose. If you choose, I want to do a castle. Okay, you build out the rooms, boom, there's your castle. And then you can choose where the door, you can move doors around, windows around, you can delete doors and windows, you can add in more environmental stuff, chairs, things like that. And then you can also, remove some of those things. And that's just really, really nice. And I mean, literally today, in 2 hours, I created the whole entire cave map. And it literally had the stalactites and the rocks and put in the torches for me and everything like that. And so in areas where I wanted to customize, I went, okay, let me delete some of this stuff. Let me add in this stuff and create it out. So it's not, when you guys get into it, it's not going to be all just cave. You're going to want to do some exploring, guys. Because there is some really cool stuff that you have a chance of finding. Just visual-wise.
Mm.
Whether or not it's actually going to improve your character, I'm not going to say. But visual-wise, there are some really cool Easter eggs I've hidden in there.
Mm.
Some you'll just run across, some you literally have to find. I made this cave system literally almost like a maze.
Nice.
It's a small maze, but it's a maze. And I think that's what's really, really cool. And I did really, really quickly with Dungeon Alchemist. So Dungeon Alchemist, I'm going to mention it to him. I'm going to like, look, just add on to it. Turn it into a VTT. And then sell just the VTT version for people to join a game for free. So there's none of the making the map, none of the making the character sheets, none of the adding in, figuring out the roll system and how the dice rolling mechanics will work. Leave that all up to the GM. Have them pay the price. And then you can have several different payment models for this. You can have the Dungeon Alchemist as it is now and pay that price. Then you can pay another $50 to add on the GM VTT to it. And then you can have the players pay nothing to download the thing just to visualize it. Or if anything, make it $5 or $10. And the multiplayer, I do it as a host thing. So whoever the GM is the host. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would do it. And I think that would be the ultimate VTT. And take cues for how we were creating character sheets in this. Take cues from all of this. And being able to create freeform character sheets. Don't do what Tailspire did, which is you have to know HTML and read through a bunch of crap to customize it. Do it all visually like this. Because if you do it all visually like this, everyone's able to make a character sheet. Everyone's able to make handouts and things like that if you do it all visually. Pure and simple. And they're already hooked up with Hero Forge, so they don't need to worry about that part. They already have that contract in. They're just expanding what their program does.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the sidelines, that could be one of the modules, because they do modules of adding new stuff in to Dungeon Alchemist. Just take a break from adding in new models and new terrain, turn it into a VTT. Then all you have to do is just do some bug fixes when problems are found, and then go back to making your terrain and stuff.
It may not be just a simple thing on it there, though, because and from what we've done on our own, remember that if you never meant for something to be networked in the first place, there's an entire set of architecture that sits in the background that you don't have, that may be incompatible with everything you've already done.
True. So
potentially you have to go back over everything in order to get it to behave itself.
So it would be a long-term process, but I think it would be worth it for them to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
I can tell you right now, for the non-detailed artist people wanting to just quickly make a map and do it for VTT and have it 3D, Dungeon Alchemy would be top tier. Because in the RPG engine, I have to place every little individual thing, every rock and stuff like that when I'm making a map. Whereas with Dungeon Alchemist, I just draw out where I want a campsite and it randomly puts things in there, and then I can manually adjust to how I see fit. It saves me a lot of time. And that's the major thing. Is GMs are already working on setting up how they, the environment and the rules for the world and stuff like that. Having to spend more time in these VTTs in creating the environments for the worlds they've set up is a real pain and a lot more work. So with Dungeon Alchemy or Alchemist Dungeon, having it set up to where it's just a click drag, this is the size I want, tweak a few parameters, done. That's amazing. And then making a VTT makes it great. I mean, yes, you can import a 2D map of what you've created in Dungeon Alchemy, and, a top-down view of that. Great. I think another thing that they might want to work on, if they're not going to go the route of doing their own VTT and adding into that, they could at least go the route of exporting out the whole entire 3D modeled environment to be put into another VTT. And then someone can create a VTT that will accept those files. That there, I think, would be cool. That is a direction they could go without having to worry about the networking.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, just dump it out into an FBX file.
Exactly. So that's a great route they could go. And the thing is if they do an FBX file, it could easily be imported into something like the RPG engine. Why? Because the RPG engine uses Unity. And I know for 100% fact, Unity can read FBX files. Pure and simple. Same with the Unreal Engine. It can read FBX files. I don't know about Godot.
I mean, I think FBX is basically...
It's
generally considered kind of the neutral standard across the board.
It's the neutral standard that a lot of these game engines use. But if you're doing a custom game engine, you may not have that file format. You may have some odd file format like .gdo. And that's what the City Heroes game engine uses. You can't take an FBX or an OBJ and just throw it into the game engine. You have to use a file converter to convert the file over to the right format for City Heroes.
In City Heroes, though, it's also a lot more kind of Wild West days of game engine development.
It is,
there.
But at that time, there were MMOs that were built in the Unreal Engine. They could have gone that route, but they chose to build their own game engine.
Mm-hmm.
And by choosing to build their own game engine, it makes it harder to do the private server thing, but you know what? It's done. You know, no matter how hard you try to make it so other people can't go and re-put up your MMO or your game when you shut it down, good luck. If they have the game, they can reverse engineer and put back in the server side thing. It takes them a long time to do that. City Heroes was lucky in the fact that the developers handed over the server side code. So they didn't have to worry about doing that. They just had to hook everything up. And then learn the engine.
Related to that, there was I remember seeing some discussion, I think it was in the EU, about basically policies being put into place where if there's a live service game that the developers decide, okay, we're cutting support, we're shutting everything down, all the resources necessary to host those servers privately have to be made available to the public.
Yes. And there's been a huge debate about that. I know Thor, Pirate Software, doesn't like the idea. He doesn't think it's going to happen.
I mean, doesn't like the idea versus doesn't think it's practical there, because I mean, absolutely, the bigger publishers are going to push back against that on there because,
hard.
Well, that's their IP that they own. They don't want to give it up to anybody.
Yeah,
there's in the far off future, maybe we want to do something with it.
Well, see,
which they won't, but
but see, here's where you can write that in law. The current state of the game, not making a sequel or anything like that, players get access to, so that they can just play how the game was before shutdown or before that. In case you run into a Star Wars Galaxy type situation. For those of you that don't know, Star Wars Galaxy originally started out as a sandbox. There were no classes. It was all skills. And then it went to a theme park by adding in classes and stuff like that and changing the combat. And there's players that like the original feel to it, and there's players that like the way it was before it shut down. But adding anything new in would be against the law. And I think that's where it would protect the companies in a way. Because by doing that, it will allow the companies to do the sequels. It'll allow the company to go, oh, we're bringing back the servers again and we're doing an expansion.
Yeah, if they basically go off and say, okay, yes, so you have the permission to use these assets for this purpose. However, that does not mean that you own the rights to make something unrelated with these assets.
Or modify.
You can add something on top of them, but it's basically a limited free access sort of thing.
Yeah,
exactly Glees it would require some effort to hammer out onto it.
Yes,
but
there'd be a lot hammering out. Right now, it's very broad in the idea. And that's where Pirate Software, Thor, is like, this isn't going to pass because it's too broad.
Mm-hmm. And it would be good if it did pass, even in a broad state. But
even in a broad state,
it's going to be fought tooth and nail.
Yeah, they're going to fight tooth and nail. If you narrow it down more to just that game, the way it is, can't add anything new, I think they'd be okay. They go, okay. Because then it's not really hurting them. It's not putting a risk of them doing a sequel or bringing it back and doing more expansions if they see the private servers doing really, really well. I mean, look at Daybreak Games. Daybreak Games gave a group of people the rights and the okay to create EverQuest Project 99. But they are only limited to go up to the expansions that were there in 1999. They cannot go any further. They cannot make any modifications. They cannot make any changes. It just gives the old feel of EverQuest. And that's been running for over 10 years now. And it's a very popular private server. And they're not going to be shut down because they have the okay from the developers and the creators. Now if you have something like World of Warcraft, the Ascension server, that's on very shaky ground. Because they are heavily modifying the game.
I mean, it would be kind of like going with the City Heroes side of things on it. I mean, yes, it's not official for like most of it at this point, but you get a stronger community by allowing the customization on it there.
You do. But, you gotta look at these games that are still alive. EverQuest is still alive. They're still adding on expansions. That's why they put the limitations on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still making them money. It's still a live game. It hasn't been shut down. Same with World of Warcraft. Now, if EverQuest or World of Warcraft were shut down, I'd say, yeah, go at it. Free reign. But because there's still live services...
that's kind of what the legislation would have been aimed at, though, too. Is for the stuff that's just been completely shut down. Not the devs went in a direction half the player base didn't like and they quit.
Yeah.
Because that is fully different. This is a case of, okay, you put in X amount of money for it, and you now no longer have access to the thing that you paid for. Because that's kind of the root of the entire argument there.
Yes.
So, what you paid for may have turned out to not be what you wanted. That's your own problem.
that happens a lot of the times. But then sometimes you get the really good developers that go, whoops, we made a mistake. And they go and fix it. Look at No Man's Sky. Great example of that happening. They got bashed so hard on release.
Yeah, but outside of actual straight up fraud cases on there, then that's not something that legislation needs to deal with. But if it's a case of, okay, you dropped $30 on this game here, and now all the official servers are gone. There's no private server, and it's multiplayer only. You now have absolutely nothing for the money that you put in.
Yeah,
that is something that that's not really the direction I think anyone, except for a very, very finite number of people, would want, or economically speaking on it there. You don't want the idea of all of a sudden the stuff that you've paid for is completely useless as a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still love to be able to play Firefall. I'd still love to be able to play Auto Assault. I can't play those games anymore. Pure and simple. And that's where this law that we're talking about would be very, very helpful. Because then there would be those private servers out there. And what I really like is the fact that they're the people who are presenting this are hating the fact that it's preserving the history of the game. It's creating sort of an online museum for these shutdown games. And that's where they're sort of focusing in on this. And I think that's a brilliant move.
Yeah, of course, that same thing has been in the US side of things. That's been taking a few hits because there was a judgment found against the Internet Archive just within the last week or two here. So that's unfortunate because, I mean,
yeah,
preserving, like, even when it's not a case of like paying for a service, these are things that were maybe only briefly, but they were still culturally important. There are people who cared greatly about them.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that should be remembered. Even the awful ones, those still need to be remembered for a case of, yeah, this was trash. This has been done.
Yeah.
Don't do it like this again.
Exactly.
You can see what happened before. Do something better.
You see what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And that pulls up the chapter. Player list. Turn order. And the maps. Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys what I was working on, where the difficulty lies in working with this.
Mm.
Woo. So as you can see, I started working over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I downloaded some models.
Mm.
And was just sort of screwing with them. Anime fans will recognize this right here. Venus Wars.
I haven't actually seen that one.
This is called a hound. It's a one-wheeled military vehicle that has a giant cannon on it. And so the engine is right here. The cannon is right there. When the player, so when the character's not sitting on this whole entire metal thing is for it to rest on, and its nose will be dipped down. When the character sits on this, it puts the weight on there to where it evens and balances out. And there's also, I mean, you can find this. I found a Kira bike in there.
Mm-hmm.
I found, what else? Let me go into here. Let's go here.
There are a lot of props being put together for this.
Yeah. But yeah, I found the Kira bike. Props. So here, and I like that this is all in the engine. See, here's the Akira bike.
Mm-hmm.
I can just select. And I have to find it.
I mean, you can probably just go in the search and just type Akira. That was I-R-A.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so there it is. I can just take this and boom. Oh, what the heck? This and boom. There's the Akira bike. That's very well modeled.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of cool stuff in there. I mean, for instance, when I was playing around with this, there was no rat models. So I went to the Steam Workshop, found a rat model, and I put a bunch of rat models in to create.
They got them animated too, huh?
What?
They set them up onto the quadruped rig too to animate them.
Yeah, they did. And there's a bunch of rats in here. Because there's that one, but if I grab this one here, it moves the whole entire pack of them.
Mm.
You can parent one object to another.
Yep.
Which is nice. Because now when I go to move these rats around, I get You know, I just have to make sure I select the right one. But I know which one's the right one. It's this one right there.
Mm-hmm.
But that literally looks like a swarm of rats.
Yep.
I had to rotate each one around and stuff like that to get the feel and the look right. But it looks like a swarm of rats. Everyone gets that idea.
Yep.
Now, I can't find any bats, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to 3D model my own bats. I don't have a problem because this is low poly. I know how to do low poly models.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, in college, I animated a frog, a humanoid frog.
Just remember not put their wings on upside down, unlike that one guy.
God, oh my God. or how about the time when he had the final and showed his final, and I remember the instructor said, "Look, if you have any problems with your final grade, we'll talk about another day. I want to just show the projects, hand you your grade, and celebrate."
Mm-hmm.
I remember he got all upset because he didn't get graded well because he forgot all of the textures. And during the presentation phase, phase and partying phase of this, he bugged the instructor. And the instructor said, "Fine, you want to talk about this right now? I'll embarrass you in front of your entire classmates." I remember he popped off and he says, "Oh, I won't get embarrassed." And he goes into the guy's project folder and looks at the last version the guy saved before rendering things out. No textures. Goes back to a later one. No textures. Goes back to each iteration. Never textures put on. Because that's why I gave you the grade. I didn't just give you the grade because, no textures. I went back and looked to see if you had textures on any iteration version you had done, to maybe there was a rendering issue and you just didn't catch it. No, none of your iterations had textures on them whatsoever. That's why I gave you the grade you did. You did not do the texturing work. There you go. It's just like when I took animation class and he straight out said, "I don't care how bad your animations are. As long as you tell a story, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you convey emotion. You get me to laugh. You get me to cry. You get me to feel something. You will automatically get an A. Don't do a horse running in a field." We get to the finals. Guess what almost everyone did? A horse running in a freaking field. Or if it wasn't a horse running in a field, it was a nightmare running through fire. I got an A. And a pat on the back. Because I made the instructor laugh not once, but twice. I had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because I had a space marine walk into a chapel, dig through a box looking for his weapon. He finds a giant Q-tip, does a Bruce Lee move along with the hand up and the come here thing, shakes his head, and throws out the window. That made the instructor laugh hysterically, and everyone was confused. So he paused it. He goes, "Don't you get that was a giant Q-tip? It's not a bow staff, it's a giant Q-tip." He colored it perfectly. You had this big long blue staff, and at the ends you had these very cottony balls at the end, and it looked good. Yeah, it looks like a pugilist staff, but it's all in the textures he used. Very well done. Then he continued the video, pulls out a couple more items, not finding the gun, pulls out the gun, jumps for joy, shoots the gun, and blows bubbles, so he gets all depressed and in scene. And the instructor laughs when it blows bubbles and he gets all depressed. But he said as he's laughing at blowing bubbles, he felt sorry for the character because it wasn't the weapon he was looking for and the character got depressed.
Mm-hmm.
He said, my animations by no means were perfect. My timing was off. My timing was not good. He did like, however, the movement of the character. He said, I was very good with having the full body movement and not just moving an arm, but having the whole entire body move when that arm moved for what needed to move. He did say that there were some animation errors I made, such as the knee clipping through the box. I should have paid a little bit more attention to there, but I still got the A because I followed the 2 rules he gave. Whereas everyone else, except for a few, were failing. And the few that got grade is because they told part of the story, or they conveyed an emotion. They didn't tell a whole entire story, and they didn't convey an emotion. One of the 2 wasn't done.
Yeah, for that class, I mean, just a walk cycle or a run cycle is not enough.
Mm-hmm. And I like that he brought up. Now, the one thing that did piss me off is when I went for my game design final. And the first time I went, the instructor said I could not use the game I'd worked 2 years on to finish it because they had let go the instructor that originally set us up to work on our final for 2 years.
Yeah, and it was described for the entire program of, okay, what you're going to do is from the start, you start learning how to make a design document. You start figuring out your production path, all of that. And the entire goal was throughout the extended part of the course there, you focus on this one project, and then your capstone, you finish it and present it. That is basically what we were promised as part of the program.
Yep. But instead, what we end up getting? I ended up getting a thing where, no, you can't do that. I said, well, I can't make a whole entire working game in 3 months by myself. I haven't been focusing at all on coding. That's not where my focus is. My focus is on 3D modeling and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, fine, make a reel. He didn't like the creativeness direction I went with my reel. I didn't want to go with just here's a model spinning with the textures on, with the textures off type of thing. I decided to create a whole entire scenery of a sculptor's area. So it had the spinning wheel that you put the clay on. It had all the tools laid out. I modeled all that stuff. I modeled a whole entire environment, and then the model spun on the wheel.
And that honestly sounds like a very good touch. That would bump it up in any reasonable person's estimation.
Exactly. He failed me. The funny thing is that the director of the game design department was furious at him and fired his ass for failing me and not letting me continue my project. He was so mad that he didn't put another instructor in place to do that course again. He took it on himself to teach that course again.
And yeah, he'd seen what we'd been working on that whole time. I think he really wanted to see it finish.
He did. And so when I talked to him and he brought me in and he mentioned all this, I said, well, that's great, but I don't have time to learn all the code that Zavi's been doing. I don't have time to get a lot of these models done. I'm working a full-time job and taking a full class load. And he said, that's fine. You don't have to do any modeling. You don't have to do any texturing. I want you to put together a project plan. I want you to show me that you can lead a team. And that's what I'm going to grade you on, is leading a team and how much of what you give them to do gets done. Based off of that will be your grade. I was all excited because that gave me leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said yes. I aced the class that time because, well, I had Zavi doing coding. I had another college classmate doing some 3D modeling. I think it was, who was it? Richard
we had A working
Mosley.
on it.
That's who it was. Doing some 3D modeling and texturing for me. And I would just dole out projects and then keep an eye on the projects and do some implementing and putting things together in the game engine. And he liked the end result. He liked the progress we'd put in there. He liked that I'd actually put down a proposed plan of how the game's going to move forward from where it was at the beginning of that 3 months and where it would be at the end of the 3 months. And based on how much of that was done and how well I led the team was my grade. And I got an A because we got everything done that was proposed in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw how I was leading the team.
Yeah, I think what he and the administration there didn't like was how much all the instructors' productivity dropped because our game was over on the network drive for all the rest of the departments to get to. So they spent their time playing that.
Well, okay, that's a great story. I want to talk about this story. So it was like 6 months after I graduated college, and they'd asked to keep the game on their servers to show off to potential students and other schools what their students can do and potential employers for their students to get hired by. And I said, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm going to work on finishing this. I'm going to try to sell this. And they're like, great, go ahead. And it was 6 months later, I get a call from the school, and it's that same person running the game design department that gives me the call. And he goes, Controlled Chaos, I want you to sit down. He used that name. He used my actual name. I want you to sit down. I got some bad news. I said, what's wrong? Something, is my diploma bad? What? And he goes, no. It's nothing like that. Remember how we kept a copy of your game? I'm like, yeah. We had to completely delete it from all of our servers. First question in my mind, why? And he responds back with, well, the staff was finding the game, playing the game, and not getting their work done. I'm like, oh, the game design staff. And he's like, no. I'm like, what other staff? And he goes, all of our staff. From our HR to our recruiters to, our English department, our math department, our history department, all departments were playing it and just hooked. And so we had moved it to a hidden location and they found it. So we moved it to another more hidden location and password locked the file, and they cracked the password locked. And they'd done everything they possibly could. And the instructors were still finding the game and playing the game. So they had to delete it off the servers to keep the instructors from playing the game. I didn't get pissed. I said, this is great news. I hear a minute or two of silence. And he goes, excuse me? Say that again? You said that's great news? I'm like, yeah, that's great news. And he goes, how is this great news? I said, do you know how much companies pay for that kind of market research of getting hundreds, if not thousands of people to try out their game and give them an honest, non-biased opinion? If you're that company, you have to hire a third party to do that and say, play this game. We didn't make this game. Tell us your honest opinions. And that costs a lot of money. And I got for free. That was amazing. And he's like, wow, that's a great way to look at it. I was all worried you were going to be upset that we had to delete your game. And I said, no, I definitely want to continue on with this. And it is something we are continuing to work on. But the problem is we end up getting into the gaming industry right away, me and Zavi. Doing game testing and a lot of crunch hours and stuff like that. We just didn't have time to continue working on the game all the time. And then, when we did have time, we would work on the game but it would take small little leaps and bounds. And then, it just got too much. It was like, okay, we need to get a creative writer to do this and stuff like that. And that's where not Zavi, I take full responsibility. I shifted our gears over to Marpingo. We got that good distance, and it was me and Zavi were at an event held by local developers to, make a game really quickly in a couple hours in Unity. And that's where we made this Marble Maze game, because it was all based off of moving the phone and having the game interact based off of that. And so we built this Marble Maze game and really got into it, and then we pushed that all the way to where we actually released it onto the Google Play Store. It was live on the Google Play Store for, what was it, like a month, 2 months?
I'd say like 2 or 3 months or so. But then there was some paperwork
Yeah, it's basically we had to pay to get an ESRB rating, and we didn't have the money to pay for the ESRB rating. Therefore, they took off the Google Play Store. So that went away, and so we had officially launched a game, and so with everything going on now, I'm getting back into working on the miniature golf pinball game, because what I want to do is I want to get that out. I want to get that making so much money that I can afford to tell Zavi, quit your job. I'm going to pay you as a programmer, a good programmer, because that's what Zavi is, a really good programmer. Probably won't be able to pay you what you should actually deserve as a programmer, in my eyes. But I would be able to pay you more than what you're making now. And so get you to clean up and make official code for Marpingo. And then the next thing I want to do is move over to making that Keep Wars game that got deleted from the college servers. Because we know it is so good and so addictive that non-gamers are playing the game. And I think what really, really makes me feel good about that one game is what the instructor said the first day of our game development class. You remember what that was?
No, I don't remember that one, unfortunately.
Okay, so you remember how he had us in the room and he has asked us to write an idea on the whiteboard, and it had to have something that was achievable, that he thought that we could achieve, and that was sort of pushing our boundaries and trying to do stuff in a new way. But if we saw someone else's project and we wanted to join them, we could opt not to put a project up and say, I'm joining this person's team. And I remember everyone being silent. I said, I got an idea, because I'd already been thinking of this idea for a long time. So I wrote the idea up, and I remember the first thing he said was, this is going to be a challenge for you. And the main challenge it's going to be is taking turn-based strategy and mixing it with first-person shooter. A lot of companies have tried it. All of them have failed. They cannot get it to feel well. I'm going to approve this and see if you can solve that problem. And I remember you getting up and then you saying, I'm joining Controlled Chaos's team. The second thing I remember is all the moans, groans, and mumbling when you said that, because everyone else in the class was a 3D modeler or an artist. And I was grabbing the only known programmer that was a good programmer, which meant they had to all code their own games. I didn't have to worry about the coding. I had a smile on my face.
Yeah, because we did have the semester before that, just as the entire class, we just did this. We actually used a game maker.
Yes.
I remember that one there. And so, because again, I was pretty much the only dedicated programmer in the entire group, there we took it in a way where it pushed the engine on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so Game Maker is primarily intended like 2D side scroller RPGs, just little simple stuff like that. But there were some additional features that we were able to use in there. We actually did a first person shooter in it.
Yeah.
It was basically kind of like Wolfenstein grade for the quality. So it's, just 2D sprites that were just auto formed to face you on there. But it worked.
Yep.
And it played decently. It wasn't a huge complex thing, but
it was decent. But I just remember everyone being upset that I grabbed the only programmer. And then the next thing I remember is we were working on the prototype stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally just all we had in the playfield were cubes, spheres, and cylinders. That's it. The main focus was to see, is the gameplay mechanics fun? Forget about the graphics. Graphics mean nothing at this point. If the gameplay mechanics are not fun, there's no graphics in the universe that can save the game. And I remember the main thing that the instructor looked at was how the turn-based first-person shooting worked. I remember the first time he held in his hands and we played a game, he said, "You've solved the problem. This works really, really well." And everyone in the class, being gamers, were addicted to playing the game. That was the first time I really liked it. And the one thing I really liked is every time he came by to check the progress and to play the game, he always had a smile on his face. He liked the game, which made me feel good. That's what I really liked. So through that whole entire process, I felt like I was on cloud 9, which was nice. It's this whole entire process of trying to get the game done and out there so everyone can experience it. That's really sort of bothering me. I want to get it out there, and I know you do too, because Zavi was working with me on the miniature golf pinball game, but it's not what you are really, really interested in. We talked about this. And
yeah, it was just getting more and more of a grind to just keep pushing a little bit further onto it there until I just, with everything else I've got going on, I just did not have the energy to keep going on something that I honestly just wasn't feeling anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But you're still feeling Keep Wars. And so that's where I sat down and said, hey, that's cool. That's fine. Our Pingo, the miniature golf pinball game, that will be my game. I may need just a little bit of assistance from you. Your main project will be Keep Wars. And so that's the one where I'm really going to want you to buckle down and code. The only time it's not going to start off with that is if, the miniature golf pinball game or Pingo has taken off and is making great sales. I want to get that from using blueprints to being full out code because it will run smoother. It will be optimized more. And I know that. Even though I'm not a coder, I know that.
Yeah, it's this common thing where the more layers you have to go through to get the code to actually be read by the computer, the worse it's going to perform on it there.
Exactly.
And so you've got the visual link ups that get converted into script, that get converted into actual code that then get run. Whereas if you can go through, and ideally it's you do everything in the engine. But that, even that much is, it's okay to use scripting on there just because that makes life so much easier that unless you're doing something that is just such a core feature that it must be put into the engine, It's just a lot easier to do it in script.
Yes. So it's basically you have the core engine coding, then you have the script, which is the middle ground, and then you have the blueprints, which is the next level up.
Mm-hmm. I think it's not so much that, like, I'm pretty sure that it doesn't store like the blueprints as they are when you go and build it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it does go and convert them down into script.
Yes, but it's not going to be as clean of script as if you were to write it.
Yeah, because I mean, back when we were doing over in college, there was a web design course that we
remember that
on there, and it's
Dreamweaver.
Oh, yeah. So here's the pay. So go through, put everything together in Dreamweaver. How's it look? But you take a look over at the HTML, and it was god awful.
It was. You know, and that's where I learned that, and I kept that I've kept that in memory. And that's where, yes, Marpingo is gonna be a code mess on launch, but if it takes off and I bring you in, there's going to be a free update of optimizing it. And it will run so much smoother. I guarantee you. And the reason why I guarantee you guys is I know Zavi's code style. I know how he works coding.
Or of course, I may just break everything. I mean, it's flip a coin when it comes to programming, but hey,
True.
Ideally.
Well, here's how I know it will work. Okay? What you guys will work. What he will show me is a hot freaking mess, and I'll freak out. And he'll walk away and then close his door and laugh and smile. Because what he's actually done will work. He's just showing me something messed up to mess with my mind. I just feel that. But yeah, we don't want to release crap. Pure and simple. Neither me nor Zavi. And, you know, I think that it will do well for casual gamers and gamers alike. I think the pricing for the game is set up really well. I think the pricing of $5 for a course with new graphics, new gameplay mechanics, that's a good deal. And that's 19 levels. 18 of those levels you're paying for. One of them is free for everyone. And then if we're just doing a whole entire new level design using current assets and no need to make new gameplay mechanics, $2.50. Same thing, 19 levels, 18 of them are paid for, one of them is free. So just by downloading the game and waiting for 18 courses to go through, you will get 18 holes to play on and a full course to play on. They may not thematically all match up, but you'll have them there.
And also the bit where we're planning on whoever's going to host the match is the one that has to have the pack spot.
Exactly.
If you're just joining, then
you don't need to have the pack. And the reason we're doing this is twofold. One, giving away one free level to everyone. It's like giving them a little bit of a demo. Allowing people to join in on someone else's, game where they have the course, but you don't, is a chance for them to try the course, the entire course, and see if they like it. If they really like it, they're going to go and buy it. And with it being at $2.50 to $5 price, it's not that heavy of a hit on the wallet. Are we going to be making bundles of money hand over fist right away? No. But the more the game gets out there, if more people like it, the more money we'll make. Because I'm of the thought of the mind of don't price yourself for the whales and the big money holders. Price yourself for everyone. Because if you price yourself for everyone, then you're getting more sales, which will equal out in the long run to getting that big whale. That's how I see it. And that's how I'm going to run it. Because I've lived off of barely scrimping by multiple times. And being able to get a little bit of a game for free or at a low cost is really, really good. And so, I feel that will sell well. But I'm sort of, optimistic on my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going into doing the development side of things, you have to have that optimism. Otherwise, you're never going to hit release.
Do you know how many independent developers never hit release? And do you know what the number one reason is? Okay. About 95% of independent developers never release a game. And the number one reason for that is they start working on a project. They get bored of that project. They come up with another project idea and they move on to that other project. And they keep doing that over and over and over and over again. And we, mainly me, got sort of trapped in that with jumping from Keep Wars to Marpingo to Marble Maze, but Marble Maze actually launched and got downloads. I think we got several hundred downloads.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really advertise it, but we also didn't really monetize it. So
yeah, it wasn't monetized, it wasn't advertised. So
effectively, it was hey, look, we just want to prove that we can actually release something.
Yes, and something people would like.
Yeah.
I mean, the main complaint we got about that game was the speed that the marble rolled on the wood. And they didn't like that wasn't fast enough. We weren't making it to be like those little plastic ones that you get out of the little put a quarter in, turn the crank, get a prize thing. We based it off of the big wooden ones where you had the two knobs you had to turn to get the accesses. So to prove the point, we actually bought one of those big ones. And anytime someone made that complaint, we just pointed at the big wooden one and said, play this. Then tell us what you think. They play that and they were like, well, if that's what you're going on, you got spot on. I said, that's what we're going for. That is our aim. We are not going for the little metal bearing plastic surface because then there's no real friction there. If you have a metal ball on a wooden surface, there's a bit of friction there. Not much from the ball, but that wood's going to cause some friction. So the ball's going to roll less.
And also, the ball just being scaled up rather than a little pocket-sized thing out there, there's more mass to the ball. That means it's going to accelerate slower.
Exactly. And so, I like what one instructor told me one time. It was AJ in the physics class. Do physics realistically unless there is a fun way to do the physics that are more enjoyable. Your physics do not need to be 100% realistic. If fun outbeats or is better than realism, go with the fun. Because all that matters is the fun. And I 100% agree with that statement. I'd rather have fun physics that are enjoyable and that people like than realistic physics. Look at City of Heroes. That's a great example. I hate in most games ragdolling. In most games, I hate ragdolling. In City of Heroes, I like it. Because it fits with the feel of the game. It fits with the genre it's going for. Superheroes. Comics are meant to sometimes be comical. And that's what fits in, why it fits in. It just makes me laugh.
Another bit from AJ that I remember that I really like is from the UI design course on it there. I'm pretty sure it was for the final where we went through and we basically okay, it's time to put in the UI design over for the game that we were working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much all semester long, he'd been pushing the minimalist approach, which, I mean, it's a good, safe bet where, okay, you don't want to obstruct the gameplay, get the essential information where it's easily reachable, and pretty much stay out of the player's way as much as possible. But we went in the opposite direction for that one there, where we decided to go, oh, let's make it so that you're looking out a tower window as you're going through, you're looking down at the map and you're placing everything on it there in the build phase. AJ hated the idea because we were using up so much screen space for it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he actually saw it in the game, I think you described it to me as he just looked at you and said, I was wrong.
Yep. So, and it was funny because the whole entire prototype phase of figuring out where things would go, there was no texture, no feel to it. You were just seeing colors.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just grimacing at me the whole entire time. But once I had gotten the textures in there and made it feel like you were looking out a medieval castle window, that's when it clicked with him. He realized that I was going with immersion. That's the number one thing. If you go with immersion and it fits with the theme, it doesn't matter how minimalistic or not your UI is. Who cares? It fits with the game. Go with what fits with the game. And that's a great story that I really like. And I had almost forgotten about that one until you brought it up. Because I just remember the whole entire quarter, him trying to convince me the whole entire time, going minimalistic and me standing my ground. Now, however, if I will put that in, and I will have looked at the final results, and everyone else will have looked at it and said, oh God, this is crap, this doesn't feel right, then I would have switched it up and I would have gone to minimalistic. But because everyone loved the feel, why change it? It doesn't ruin anything. It adds to it, if anything. It's just like when we were working on Marpingo with the whole entire slider for power. Mm-hmm. Same thing there. We didn't think about it. Someone who played it thought, oh, instead of having it be a regular slider like you see on every other game for controls, make it feel and look like a pinball plunger. And us just looking at each other like we were complete freaking morons because we didn't think about it. And then telling him to come by the next day and see what we'd done. And when he came back the next day, he's like, that's the exact feel. And we said, we're not touching it. It's stamped and ingrained into the dev document and will not be changed. Pure and simple. You know, and that's where I like doing some of the live streams of game development, is because I can get that live feedback from people of, I really don't like how this feels. I can make those adjustments and critique things as we do it. And I'm pretty sure once you get your channel up and going and you're doing your programming thing, I have a feeling you're going to go the same route. Am I right or am I wrong?
Probably going to be right. And either way, it's definitely a whole lot cheaper than hauling off to a convention and trying to do that.
It is. And you get a lot more people viewing it. You get a lot more people giving their honest feedback. And because they're not face to face to you, they're going to be more honest with you. They're going to be more harsh. And I want that. Because guess what? That only makes the game better. As long as they're not being mean about it, I'm going to take the feedback. It's the best way to do things. And I think that direction that a lot of these independent developers are going with running a YouTube channel, showing off their game, is great. Because people get to see how games are made, and that it's not just a press of a button, the game's out there, and that it's a real, people thinking it's a real easy thing. They get to see how hard it is to make these games, and then when they go to buy it, even though it's not perfect, they have a bit better of a feeling of what it took for that person or that team to make that game.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a bit more passionate about the game and the work that went behind it. And I think that's great. And that's why I built this channel, is to do that kind of thing. Yes, there's going to be gameplay of other games and things like that. Well, because every game developer is a gamer. So I want to show my gamer side, which is why I do the pen and paper nights like we were supposed to do tonight, but Roll20 being the pain it is, that's why we're in RPG Engine right now. And so we're playing around and talking about this different stuff. But I think we should go ahead and end the stream. It's getting late, and I know you have work tomorrow. I have video editing I need to do tomorrow. Because tomorrow's what? Saturday. Oh, you don't have work tomorrow. Never mind.
I've got stuff I want to do tomorrow. We'll see if I actually do it or not.
Yeah, that's the big thing. The only time Zabby actually really deep dives into something, if it's something that really interests them. But I give you no fault on that. I have the same damn problem. And even some of the things I'm passionate about and like doing, I have to sort of push myself to do it. Because there's times where I don't want to work on video, but I have to push myself to do it to get that video out to keep the channel alive.
Yep.
Because this is growing, and I get a good feeling by seeing the growth. It's not as fast as I'd like, but it's not a dead stop. I see other channels out there where they've been out the same amount of time I've been out, and they're almost at 100,000 subscribers, but then I look at the number of videos they're putting out, and they put out the double the number of videos I've put out, so I'm like, okay, I'm not doing so bad. They're just putting out more content than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, they're getting more views, getting more subscribers. No big things. And in fact, I look at some of their views, and there was one I was looking at where they're at like 60,000 subscribers. They have about 800 or 900 videos out. Guess how many views their highest viewed video has? It has 8,000 views. I have about 400 to 500 videos out. I'm getting close to the 2,000 marks. Guess how many views my top viewed video has?
Wasn't it in the 5 digits? 6 digits?
Yeah. It's at it's around 60,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have my view numbers higher and less videos than have a higher subscriber number. Because I know a majority of people that watch this stuff and watch my videos and live streams, they're not subscribers. They probably never will be. Same with members. I only have 2 members. Do I care? No. Do I push memberships? No. Do I push super thanks? No. I don't push that stuff. I see no reason to it. I leave it up to you guys to make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
I know that will grow over time. No reason to push you guys into it, because I feel that if I keep bringing that up and pushing you guys into it, I'm going to be like those Twitch streamers and those YouTubers that are saying, quit watching my stuff for free.
Yeah,
you should be buying me. You should be buying bits. You should be tipping me. You should be subscribing to me. You should become a member to watch my content. No. Should not be that way at all. And that's why I don't promote my stuff that much. I have the print on demand store. I don't promote it that much. Only time I really promote is when I'm doing a big sale.
Mm.
And even then, I hardly push it. There's one thing that I've pushed the most in the 2 years that I've done this. And that is the charity that I'm doing right now, which is linked in the description. It's a charity for kids fighting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pushing that like mad. I don't see a dime of that money. That money doesn't even hit my bank account. It goes straight to the charity. And I've already donated to it. I donated $50. And probably at the end of this month, before it gets to the end of the month, because, well, it ends at the end of September, I'm going to probably put another 50 in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually spending money on the charity. But I see it a worthwhile charity. It's kids fighting cancer.
Yeah, you can't find anyone who's going to argue against that in good faith.
I can think of one person. It starts with a T.
Like I said, in good faith. I don't think that person even knows what the phrase means.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I want to thank you guys all for watching and have a great day.
Night, everyone.